programming language designer's perspective, where Jai has been described as data-oriented. What is his opinion on other data-oriented languages like Erlang, Elixir, Clojure, and in context to that, what languages, virtual machines, and paradigms inspired you while you were designing Jai? So how does it compare and contrast to other data-oriented?
All those languages mentioned seem very different to me. So, and I, some of them I know more about how they work than others. So I find it hard to make a statement that crosses all of those. I also would say I wouldn't necessarily say data-oriented is the motivator behind what I'm doing. I think it's compatible with a data-oriented approach, but I wouldn't say that that's the lens from which it's being designed. In terms of inspirations, it's going to be hard to say this in a way that's going to be taken correctly, but like Lisp and Standard ML of New Jersey, which is like a later functional language that I used in the early 90s, are inspirations, but not in any obvious way, because the way this language works is nothing like the way those work. But like Lisp especially was a messy programming language that was pretty bad in a lot of ways. Like there's a lot of Lisp evangelists that say like, oh, it's great. It's actually pretty bad in a lot of ways, but it had some things about it that were really good and that never really were reproduced. At least certainly not in systems languages like C. And the failure to reproduce those things has led to a lot of practical problems today. So for example, in any interpreted language, so even like Python today or something, but going back to Lisp, you don't need to have a build process to know what the program is. It's just like whatever file you load first loads some other files, and then it starts running because it's an interpreted language. And so your program defines itself in that way, right? Whereas in languages like C and all the languages that came down from C, that's not true. You like need an entire, at least one, probably multiple programming languages outside your original language to say what the program is, to define what all the files are and how they get put together. And that's a very severe deficiency actually, but nobody seems to take that deficiency seriously, but we all suffer from it all the time. So, it's things like that. It's like, okay, let's do a systems language, but let's take this good part about Lisp that we figured out in like frickin' 1965, right? And actually bring that to these languages. Yeah.